Hi guys, my name's Nikki, welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'll be showing you guys how I take notes. So let's just jump right into it. First, I'm going to show you my class books and then compare them to how I actually rewrite my notes after school. So we're just going through some of my most recent biology work here. And there are certain themes and consistencies throughout, but I'm just going to show you the differences, what I do, what I like to do, and my preferences. The most notable thing is that I always have a highlighter and also a fine liner in the same sort of color. I always do my bullet points or any numbers, for example, in the same color as my highlighter, and I always write my subtitles or headings in capital letters and then highlight that, so you can see that here. This helps me visualize things a lot more and really separates out the work. Now this is my chemistry book and I do slightly different method, the subtitles. I add a band of the highlighter color with the subtitle in the middle of it, as you can see here, and this really helps to section out the different pieces of work and you can see exactly where everything is. I find it so easy to read and just look through because everything is incredibly organized and you know exactly where everything is. Now we'll be moving on to how I rewrite my notes, giving a few examples and then explaining my whole note-taking process. This is a page of notes from biology with a lot of diagrams, just so you can see the general idea of what different types of note pages will look like. So you can see I have my title in capitals with the 2 lines of highlighter. I have my subtitle in capitals highlighted, and then onto the next page you can see that I've still got the subtitle highlighted, and then all of my chunks of information are broken down into bullet points, and the bullet points are done in the same color as the highlighter. I like to be able to separate out my work, and I believe that doing these bullet points in the different colors really helps you section out big chunks of information in paragraphs and makes it a little bit easier to digest. Moving on to a slightly different version of a page of notes, so you can see I've got my subtitles in capitals highlighted, then I've separated extra information in between these laurel wreaths just to make it stick out and stand out more. Then I added some post-it notes where I added extra information just so I can fit it in and in the spare empty spaces, but then you can also test yourself. So for example, draw something then cover it with a post-it note. I really like this method because it's such a quick doodle, really easy to do, and it helps make things much more visual. You can actually pick out certain information because it's evident and you can really see instantly as soon as you look at the note page. So again, I've done the same thing here, and you can see for these bullet points, I've used arrows and I've got these angular arrows coming off the main point, and that's where I'm branching off with extra information, so perhaps a more in-depth analysis or more detailed explanation. Some people like to rewrite their notes from class. Personally, I like to take my notes from my revision guide because I feel like the information is a lot more coherent there. I use squared paper, which is probably the most notable part. I think that this really helps make my notes very compact, but also keeps them concise and a lot more regular in terms of form, because I like my notes to be very well structured. So I've just drawn 2 lines and with my highlighter, then I'm writing the title, cardiovascular disease, in capital letters at the top in between. This really helps section it off, and then you can also see it very clearly as it's at the top and has a main signature point. After that, I'm doing the subtitles or the subheadings, and now because I'm using a fine liner, I'm just drawing the highlighter first and then writing on top of that, but normally I would do it the other way. So I write it in capitals, of course, 1 letter per block, and this makes it so much easier to just see everything. It's incredibly clear, and I really love how I can space everything out and fit so much more into the page. So when I'm drawing diagrams, as you can see here, I draw them first in pencil to make sure that they're neat and then go over them in fine liner pen. What I'm doing next, I'm then writing out my bullet points and going through all the information, trying to separate it down and really condense it and make it quite concise and straight to the point. It's important that when you're taking these revision notes that everything is as coherent as it can be, and it's also useful to you so you have all of the necessary information. Breaking certain points down into different bullet points, or perhaps breaking down a process, can really be useful. For example, I know in biology you'll get a lot of 6-mark questions, so if you can break that down into, let's say, 6 bullet points, it will be really easy to learn each of them, then be able to see where the marks would come from each part. One thing you'll hear me talk about a lot when I'm doing my notes is to make sure that you have different indentations, introductions of new points or additional information. I find that if your notes are in all just one huge block of text, it's really difficult to read, and you might face a point point where you'll be briefly looking over your notes and you're just skimming instead of actually reading and picking out important information. So having these parts where you indent information, so you'll see in a second, I draw this angular arrow, and what this is, it's basically another bullet point, but it shows where I'm writing additional information, just linking to that point, explaining in further detail, or perhaps maybe including a definition or something like that. It's really useful because when you're reading, you can see that there's something else there. It's not all really compact and close together. It's quite spread out, but then again, it's very easy to read, look at, and all clear there in front of you, and you can easily pick out what you're looking for. So for example, the subheadings being easily visible, and you can see all the different points in the process. So everything is really easy to find, and that's one of the most important things when you're looking over your notes. You have everything in such good detail that's also really accessible for you. I'd say that this method is very simplistic and really easy to pick up. If you're worried about taking too much time when taking your notes and not being able to switch from the two different pens, you can just start writing your notes. However, implementing the indentations and the positioning, and then once you're done getting down the information, you can then come in with your fine liner in a different color and then add all the bullet points and extras. While this method works for me and I personally enjoy to use, it also really works well as a revision technique for me, it might not work the best for you. So it's a really good idea if you're trying to implement different things, just try out new techniques, because you never know, you might actually encounter a completely new method that works incredibly well for you and can really get the information down in your head. If you guys try this, or if you guys have any ideas or something similar that you do, just comment down below what your ideas are, what you personally prefer to do. I know that this video has been requested quite a lot, and I know that a lot of people enjoy these and find a lot of use from them. And yes, that's basically what I do. I also do a very similar technique in lessons, as you've seen at the beginning of the video. It's very easy to pick up. I might often interchange between different types of bullet points, for example, little triangles or arrows instead. To be honest, there isn't much difference between them. It's just which design I prefer that day. And again, I'm just adding some extra information at the bottom there, and then we're going to go for a quick recap. I will be following up this video with a how I make flashcards video, so if you guys are interested in that, you can stay tuned for next week. And if you guys would like to see any videos about, for example, how I'm finding any of the courses that I'm doing at sixth form or my experience so far, or perhaps any sort of revision techniques, then please do leave comments down below. At sixth form, I do biology, chemistry, maths, and French. Quick recap. So we begin with the subtitles and subheadings. They're always in capitals and underlined. Then we have all of the points of information in bullet points in a color that matches the highlighter that you're using. Also, when it comes to the title, I like to always go for something that's really quick and simplistic, but yet again, very effective. And then again, just using that same color to keep it very cohesive. You might have a certain color for a certain topic or a color for a certain subject. Another thing is that all of my bullet points and extra information bullet points always fall along the same line, and that's why I like to use squared paper. It makes everything really organized and placed logically, so you can see they are in the same square but just going down in the grid. And the same for all of the bullet points. It helps keep everything really orderly, very neat, and you always know where to look for things. So that's it for my How I Take Notes video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can hit the bell to receive notifications if you'd like to see more. I hope that you guys have a really good time, and good luck for any December mocks or exams that you guys have. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!